Imagine standing in the middle of a storm, waves crashing, winds howling, while someone is deliberately throwing more fuel onto the fire. That fire is fueled by pride, manipulation, and a hunger to control everything in their path. This isn't just a random attack. It's a calculated effort by a person who believes the world revolves around them, and you're just an obstacle in their grand design. But here's the secret most people don't see. When a narcissist tries to destroy you, it's not your weakness they expose. It's their own defeat that's already written. There's a power at work, a force far greater than their schemes, quietly turning their destruction into your breakthrough. And while they scramble to build walls of control and lies, something extraordinary is happening, something that no amount of manipulation can stop. You think you're just surviving, but in reality, you're being prepared for a rise they never imagined possible. When a narcissist tries to destroy you, it's not just about you. It's about their desperate need to control everything around them. At the heart of their attack is a deep insecurity that they are trying to cover up with a mask of superiority and dominance. You see, a narcissist's world revolves around their own image, their own agenda, and their constant hunger for power. But this hunger is not strength. It's weakness dressed in arrogance. It's a fragile ego that cannot tolerate anyone else shining brighter or standing taller. Have you ever wondered why people who appear so confident on the outside often crumble the moment someone challenges them? This is the paradox of the narcissist's power. It only exists when others bow down or remain silent. Their strength disappears when you refuse to be intimidated. Consider the story of a great tree in a forest, tall and proud, its branches sprawling wide. Now imagine a small, scraggly vine wrapping itself around that tree, trying to choke it and block its sunlight. The vine's intention is destruction, but it's clear which is stronger, the tree that continues to grow despite the vine's grasp, or the vine that relies on another to survive. Narcissists are like that vine. Their existence depends on twisting narratives and choking the confidence of others to maintain their illusion of control. Yet, no matter how tight they grip, they can never become the tree. They will always be dependent on what they seek to destroy. The biblical principle of the measure you give teaches us that what we sow, we reap. When narcissists sow seeds of destruction and manipulation, they unknowingly plant the roots of their own downfall. Their control is temporary and fragile because it's built on lies, fear, and falsehoods. They fear exposure the moment their true self is seen beneath the surface. This raises a question that demands our attention. What happens when you stop playing by their rules, when you refuse to feed their narrative with your fear of silence? The moment you reclaim your voice, their control weakens. It's crucial to recognize that a narcissist's attack is often less about you personally and more about their battle with themselves. When they lash out, it's because they feel threatened by your success, your confidence, your peace. They want to prove that they are bigger, better, and stronger. But in truth, this is a desperate attempt to patch a broken foundation. Like a cracked dam trying to hold back a rising river, their efforts to dominate only reveal how close they are to collapse. Think about real-life examples of people who have faced such attacks and still stood firm. Consider those who were undermined by colleagues at work, sabotaged by friends, or betrayed by family members, who were driven by selfish ambition. What set the survivors apart was not the absence of attack, but the refusal to let that attack define their worth. They understood that their value was not dictated by the attempts to tear them down, but by the steady belief in their own purpose and identity. How often do we let the actions of others dictate our own peace? How often do we become prisoners of someone else's insecurity? These questions are not just rhetorical, they are challenges to the way we live and respond. A narcissist's attempt to control you can only succeed if you give them that power. The moment you realize this, the battle changes. You become no longer a victim, but a commander of your own destiny. In the silence behind their fury lies a truth that many fail to see. Destruction is their weakness masquerading as strength. When they try to tear you down, they are really trying to keep themselves from falling apart. This awareness can shift your entire perspective from fear to empowerment, from confusion to clarity. So, what will you do when the narcissist tries to pull you into their drama? Will you give them the satisfaction of your defeat? Or will you stand firm, knowing their attack is a sign of their own fragility? The choice is yours, but remember, no one can truly control you unless you allow it. Have you ever watched a blacksmith at work? The way they take raw, unshaped metal and place it into the roaring fire, hammering it relentlessly until it transforms into something strong, useful, and beautiful. The fire is not just destruction. It's a necessary force of transformation. It's in the heat and pressure that the metal reveals its true strength. In the same way, when a narcissist tries to destroy you, it may feel like you are being thrown into a relentless firestorm. But what if I told you that this very fire is preparing you for something greater? That what seems like chaos is actually the catalyst for your breakthrough. When someone driven by narcissism aims to tear you down, they think they are ending your story, but there is a greater power at work. An invisible force that turns their attempts into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. Think about a seed buried deep in the dark soil. To the naked eye, it looks like nothing is happening, but beneath the surface, that seed is undergoing an incredible process, breaking apart, pushing through the earth, and preparing to grow into something magnificent. Your struggles under attack are much like that seed's journey. What looks like destruction is often the fertile ground for new life, new strength, and new purpose. Curiously, the very things that the narcissist uses as weapons, criticism, lies, manipulation, can become tools for your growth. When you refuse to let those attacks define you, when you choose to learn from the pain instead of being crushed by it, you become stronger. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to rise after every fall? They aren't just lucky, they have learned to use their challenges as fuel. We understand that resistance breeds resilience. There's a timeless truth that power often emerges from pressure. Diamonds don't form without immense pressure beneath the earth's surface. Could your current trials be shaping you into a diamond? Something rare, valuable, and unbreakable. It's not easy to believe this when you're in the midst of pain, but consider this. If a narcissist's attack fails to destroy you, it leaves you with something far more valuable: experience, wisdom, and an unshakable identity. Look at the stories of leaders, innovators, and heroes throughout history. Many of them faced opposition from those who underestimated them or sought to silence their voice. But those challenges didn't stop their rise. They accelerated it. Why? Because the resistance forced them to dig deeper within themselves, to find strength they never knew they had. It begs a question: could your current hardship be the making of your greatest breakthrough? Sometimes the greatest power lies not in avoiding the fire, but in learning how to dance through it. When you realize that the narcissist's destruction is only temporary and that you have a greater force on your side, your own inner strength, everything changes. You stop seeing yourself as a victim and start seeing yourself as a warrior. The pain shifts from a prison to a proving ground. Think about how a sculptor chisels away at a block of marble. The chips and dust that fall away are not signs of destruction. They are necessary to reveal the masterpiece inside. Could your trials be the chisel shaping your character, your vision, your destiny? When you refuse to be broken by someone else's agenda, you become a living testament to the fact that what is meant to harm you can actually heal you. You can openly know. What if every attack you face is actually a secret invitation to grow? What if, instead of being defeated, you're being refined, strengthened, and prepared for a purpose bigger than the pain? This is the paradox that many never see because they focus only on the surface wounds and miss the transformation happening beneath. So next time you feel the weight of someone's attempt to destroy you, ask yourself, am I being shaped or shattered? Am I growing stronger in this fire, or am I letting it consume me? The choice is not always easy, but it is always yours. Because true power turns attempts to destroy into opportunities to rise higher than ever before. Have you ever noticed how the loudest voices in a room are often the ones speaking the least truth? There's something about manipulation that screams for attention, but when you listen closely, it reveals more about the weakness of the one who manipulates than the strength they pretend to have. When a narcissist tries to tear you down, they do so with a mask of confidence. But behind that mask lies a profound insecurity that manipulation alone can't hide. The very act of twisting reality to serve their agenda is a sign not of power, but of fear. Manipulation is like a cracked mirror. It distorts the truth, but it also reflects back the brokenness of the one wielding it. Have you ever been in a situation where someone's lies or schemes seem so elaborate that you wondered how they kept it all together? The truth is, manipulation is a desperate attempt to hold on to control when control is already slipping away. It's a smoke screen designed to confuse and intimidate, but smoke always dissipates, and behind it the reality remains clear. Why do people manipulate? At the core, it's because they lack the ability to influence honestly or to lead with authenticity. When you have true strength, you don't need to bend facts or twist words to get your way. Real strength is rooted in integrity and self-awareness. This raises an important question. When you find yourself targeted by manipulation, what does that say about the person attacking you? It says they are afraid that their false facade will be exposed, afraid that their influence will fade if they can't control the narrative. Think about real-life examples in workplaces, relationships, or communities. Those who manipulate often build their power on shifting sands. They create drama, spread rumors, or distort conversations to keep others off balance. But in doing so, they reveal a lack of something critical: trust. Trust cannot be built on lies or control. It is earned through consistency and truth. When a narcissist tries to manipulate, they're showing that their foundation is unstable. This instability is the real weakness beneath their false show of power. Consider the analogy of a puppeteer pulling strings. The puppeteer may look powerful, controlling every movement, but the strings themselves show that the puppeteer's power is limited. If the strings break, the puppeteer loses control instantly. Manipulation is those strings, visible, fragile, and easily broken. The moment you recognize the strings, the puppeteer's power over you diminishes. You are no longer the puppet. Have you ever asked yourself why some people keep falling for manipulation while others seem immune? The difference lies in awareness. When you understand the tactics of manipulation and refuse to be drawn into the false narrative, the manipulator loses their weapon. This brings up a powerful truth. The strongest defense against manipulation is clarity and self-competence. The more you know who you are and what you stand for, the less power anyone has to distort your reality. Another thought-provoking idea is this: manipulation always tries to control the story, but it can never control the truth. Truth has a way of emerging no matter how much someone tries to bury it under layers of deception. When a narcissist manipulates, they may control the moment, but they do not control the legacy. What they say today may confuse, but it won't rewrite the authentic story that unfolds over time. This understanding changes how you respond. Instead of reacting with anger or fear, you begin to see manipulation as a symptom, not the problem. It's a sign that the person trying to hurt you is struggling with their own identity and worth. This insight doesn't excuse their behavior, but it disarms it. When you refuse to engage on their terms, their power diminishes. Ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped playing by the manipulator's rules? What if you held fast to your own truth, no matter how loud the lies became? The answer is simple but profound. You would reclaim your power, because manipulation exposes weakness, not strength in the attacker. When you stand firm, you shine a light on their insecurity and strip away their control. So next time you face manipulation, remember this: the chaos they create is a sign of their fear, not your failure. Your peace and clarity are the greatest weapons you have against their tactics. Don't be fooled by the noise. Look beyond it to the fragile reality underneath. The power to rise above is already within you. There is a common misconception that when life gets hard, it's a sign you're failing. But what if the opposite is true? What if the very struggles and opposition you face are the very fires in which your resilience is forged? Resilience is not something we are simply born with. It is developed, shaped, and strengthened through the challenges we endure. Imagine a blacksmith shaping iron. Each strike of the hammer, each pass through the fire strengthens the metal, making it tougher and more durable. The same process happens within us when we face opposition. The resistance we encounter isn't a signal to give up. It's the hammer shaping us into who we are meant to be. Think about the principle of perseverance. There's a timeless wisdom that says, "For when you have endured a little while, the God of all grace will himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you." This principle reminds us that endurance is not just about surviving, but about being built up stronger through the process. It's not the absence of difficulty that creates strength, but the presence of struggle met with unwavering determination. Every time you refuse to be broken by opposition, you are being confirmed and strengthened for the next phase of your journey. Have you ever noticed how the strongest trees are the ones that have weathered the fiercest storms? The winds that might uproot a young sapling only make an older tree's roots dig deeper into the ground. The same storm that threatens to destroy is actually what forces growth beneath the surface. This analogy extends to our lives. When a narcissist or any adversary tries to destroy you, they are like the storm. But if you respond by holding firm, by deepening your roots in purpose and belief, you will not only survive, you will grow stronger. This leads to an important question. What if every challenge is a call to deepen your resilience? What if every attempt to tear you down is actually an invitation to rise higher? Resilience isn't just bouncing back. It's bouncing forward, transformed and more prepared than ever. This shift in mindset can turn your perspective from victimhood to consider the story of an athlete training for a marathon. The hours of sweat, pain, and exhaustion are not obstacles, but the very tools that build endurance. The body becomes conditioned, not in moments of ease, but through pushing past limits. Likewise, your spirit, your character, and your resolve grow stronger when tested by adversity. The question is not whether you will face opposition, but how you will respond when it comes. Real life shows us countless examples of people who were shaped by their struggles. Think of those who lost everything but rebuilt their lives, those who faced betrayal but chose forgiveness and moved forward, or those who were underestimated but used criticism as fuel to succeed. Their stories reveal a truth. Resilience is the result of refusing to be defined or destroyed by hardship. So how do we cultivate resilience in the face of a narcissist attempt to destroy us? It begins with understanding that their attacks are temporary, but your strength can be lasting. It means holding on to your identity and refusing to let their lies and manipulations shake your foundation. It means leaning into your support system, your values, and your purpose rather than withdrawing or giving in to despair. What if your greatest challenge right now is actually a blessing in disguise? What if the resistance you feel is not the end, but the very pressure needed to push you into a new level of strength? The storms you face, the attacks you endure, are not random acts of cruelty. They are the forging fires of resilience. Every time you face an attempt to destroy you and you stand firm, you prove something powerful, not just to others, but to yourself, that you cannot be easily broken. This is the core of resilience. The ability to absorb the blows, learn from them, and come out stronger on the other side. So, when the winds howl and the storms rage, remember the tree that stands tall because of its roots, the iron that becomes stronger under the hammer, and the athlete who pushes past pain to victory. Your resilience is being built right now, in this very moment. Sometimes, the things that are meant to break you are actually the things that build you. It doesn't feel like that in the moment. When someone deliberately tries to tear down your confidence, sabotage your peace, and crush your reputation, the immediate reaction is pain, confusion, and even fear. But hidden inside that opposition is something most people miss, an opportunity to rise higher than you ever would have without it. What was sent to crush you could be the very thing that pushes you into clarity, into purpose, into strength. But only if you choose to respond differently. There is a timeless principle that says what others mean for evil can be turned for good. It's not just a comforting thought, it's a truth that plays out over and over again in the lives of those who refuse to let opposition define their future. When a narcissist tries to destroy you, they are betting on your collapse. They are hoping their lies will silence you, their manipulation will derail you, and their control will break you. But what they never expect is that their attack might actually push you into the greatest version of yourself. Think about a slingshot. To launch something forward, you first have to pull it back. The tension, the pressure, the resistance. It's all part of the process. The farther it's pulled back, the farther it can fly. That's what opposition can do. It pulls you back, but not to hold you down, to launch you into places of impact and influence that you couldn't reach otherwise. What if the very person trying to hold you back is unknowingly setting you up for your next breakthrough? This changes everything. It turns what feels like a setback into a setup. It changes the way you see pain, not as punishment, but as preparation. It shifts your mindset from, why is this happening to me, to what is this trying to teach me? Because every attack has a message hidden inside of it. And when you pause long enough to listen, you begin to realize that you're not being destroyed, you're being refined. Have you ever seen how pressure creates pearls? A tiny grain of sand irritates the oyster. It's not glamorous, it's not easy. But in response to that irritation, the oyster begins to coat the grain layer by layer until something precious is formed. Without the discomfort, there will be no pearl. And so the question is, what grains of sand in your life are you cursing, not realizing they might be the birthplace of something valuable inside of you? Real stories show us this truth all the time. The entrepreneur who was fired unfairly and then went on to build an empire. The artist who was mocked early on only to rise and influence generations. The leader who was betrayed and abandoned but used the pain to fuel a vision that changed lives. These people didn't avoid hardship. They used it, and in using it, they rose. Could it be that your current battle is not the end, but the beginning of something only the fire could awaken in you? When you understand this, you stop asking for easy days. You start asking for strength, for clarity, for purpose. You start realizing that growth is uncomfortable, that progress is painful, and that elevation often comes wrapped in resistance. What someone meant to break you can become the foundation on which you build your legacy if you refuse to stay broken. So now the question is, what will you do with the things meant to break you? Will you let them define your worth, your future, your identity? Or will you take the weight they tried to crush you with and build something no one saw coming? The power is in your hands, not in theirs. Because what's meant to break you often becomes the foundation for your greatest rise. So when a narcissist tries to destroy you through manipulation, through control, through lies, through relentless opposition, they are unknowingly becoming a tool in the hands of purpose. What was designed to break you is the very thing that is shaping you. The fire you're walking through is forging resilience. The storm you're enduring is planting deeper roots. The pressure you feel is launching you into a version of yourself that can no longer be controlled, silenced, or diminished. You are not the victim of their chaos. You are the product of transformation. Let their attacks expose their fear, not your failure. Let their manipulation reveal their weakness, not your worth. And above all, remember this: no one can cancel what was placed inside of you before they even knew your name. You are rising, not despite the attacks, but because of how you responded to them. So walk forward with your head high, not bitter but better, not wounded but wiser, not broken but built. Because what tried to destroy you has only revealed how indestructible you truly are. Good luck on your journey ahead. Keep rising, keep standing, and never let the noise distract you from your purpose. Thank you for listening.